Don't you die on me, Zion. Carter shouted, his strong hands shaking as he pressed them against the chest of the unconscious man sprawled across a first-class seat. The plane lurched sharply, an oxygen mask swinging wildly above his head. Screams, prayers, and the crash of luggage tumbling from overhead bins filled the cabin, but Zion heard none of it. His world had narrowed to the ashen face of Raymond Caldwell, the cold, wealthy man who hadn't spared him a glance when he boarded Flight 319 from Detroit to New York 3 hours earlier. Please, Zion whispered, tears streaking his face as he kept up the compressions. You can't die without telling me why. Why did you have that photo? Why were you staring at me at 30,000 feet above Ohio as the plane battled the worst storm the pilot had seen in 30 years? A 20-year-old black man from Detroit's roughest neighborhood fought to save a millionaire worth more than his entire community combined. He had no idea that Raymond's next words, if he lived to speak them, would shatter everything Zion thought he knew about himself. 3 hours earlier, Zion clutched his backpack, moving down the narrow aisle of the Boeing 737. Each step felt like entering a foreign land. Soft blue lights hushed conversations in languages he didn't recognize, flight attendants with perfect smiles and crisp uniforms. It was all a far cry from his life in Detroit, where abandoned houses and police sirens were the norm. Excuse me, sir. A flight attendant named Angela touched his shoulder. Traveling alone, Zion nodded, his throat too dry to speak. Her eyes held concern, maybe pity, a look he'd seen too often since Nana Rose, his grandmother, was diagnosed with cancer. Angela checked his boarding pass, raising an eyebrow. Seat 12A, right this way. As they passed the curtains separating first class from economy, Zion glanced at the elite passengers. Most were buried in laptops or already dozing with eye masks, but one man stood out. He wasn't working or sleeping, just staring out the window with an intensity that made Zion wonder if he saw something invisible to others. Around 60, with silver hair and a tailored black suit, he radiated wealth, a gold watch peeking from his cuff. Yet there was a flicker in his expression, vulnerability, regret that seemed out of place. Their eyes met and Zion's heart skipped. The man's face shifted from surprise to confusion, then to something Zion couldn't name. The moment passed quickly as he looked away, his expression hardening. Sir, anything before takeoff? Another attendant asked. Just privacy, the man replied, his voice icy. Angela led Zion on, but that strange look left him uneasy. Why had the man stared at him like he'd seen a ghost? Here's 12A, Angela said, pointing to a window seat. It's not crowded today, so you've got the row to yourself. Lucky you. Zion settled in, grateful for the space. This was his first flight, not something he'd saved for or dreamed of. 3 weeks ago, a certified letter arrived with a prepaid ticket and a cryptic note. Your presence is requested in New York regarding an inheritance matter. All expenses paid. Discretion advised. Nana Rose was skeptical. Sounds like one of those scams on TV, she'd said, her voice raspy from cigarettes and chemo. Nobody leaves money to strangers. But the letter included details about his father, Marcus Carter, who died when Zion was 4. Details only someone close would know: the scent of peppermint and motor oil, his deep laugh, the warmth of his hands. After weeks of debate, calls to Whitaker and Associates in New York, and a notary's visit confirming its legitimacy, Nana Rose reluctantly agreed to let Zion go. Be careful, son, she warned as the ambulance took her back to the hospital. The world ain't always kind to folks like us. As the plane taxied, Zion closed his eyes, steadying his racing heart. Whatever awaited in New York, he'd face it with the grit that had carried him through his father's death, his mother's disappearance at 7, and life with a grandmother whose love was fierce but whose health was frail. The plane lifted off, pressing him into the seat. For the first time, he was leaving behind Detroit's cracked sidewalks, the corner store where Mr. Jenkins slipped him extra candy for good grades, the community center where he coached kids basketball. From his backpack, he pulled The Great Gatsby, his father's copy, its margins filled with handwritten notes. When he missed Marcus, most Zion read those notes, imagining his father's thoughts reaching across time. He was about to start when a commotion from first class caught his ear. The silver-haired man, Raymond Caldwell, was standing, his voice sharp with irritation. This is unacceptable, he told a flustered attendant. I requested an empty seat beside me. I'm not used to sharing space with strangers. Zion shook his head. The rich and their problems. This guy was mad about sitting next to someone in the fanciest part of the plane, while Zion was thankful for an empty row in economy, but something about the exchange nagged at him. Raymond said David the Asian man he objected to, with a familiarity that hinted at a shared history, not a random encounter. The issue resolved when David was moved, leaving Raymond alone. As he sat, his gaze swept the cabin and locked with Zion's again. This time Zion didn't look away, holding the stare, until Raymond broke it, turning abruptly to an attendant. Zion returned to his book, but the words blurred. He kept seeing Raymond's face, not the arrogance, but that fleeting moment of recognition. It was impossible. What would a man like Raymond Caldwell, who fussed over first-class seating, know about a college kid from Detroit? An hour into the flight, as drinks were served, Zion saw Raymond head toward the first-class lavatory. As he passed the curtain, a small folded paper slipped from his jacket, landing on the economy side. Without thinking, Zion unbuckled and grabbed it, intending to return it. But holding the paper, a strange urge hit him. No one was watching. He unfolded it. It wasn't a business card or receipt, but an old photo creased from being opened and closed countless times. It showed a young black couple in front of a modest house, arms around each other, smiling brightly. Zion's heart stopped. He knew that dimple on the woman's cheek, his mother Amara, and the man unmistakable was Marcus Carter, his father. Why would Raymond Caldwell, a white millionaire, carry a photo of his parents? Zion's hands shook as he refolded it. The lavatory door opened. Raymond stepped out, patting his pockets, his face troubled. Zion slipped back to his seat, the photo clutched in his hand. He knew he should return it, but the question burned. How do you know my parents? As Raymond returned to his seat, attendants began searching the first-class floor. Zion's heart pounded. He felt like a thief, not for taking the photo, but for stealing the secret it held. The plane hit turbulence, the seatbelt sign chiming on. The captain's voice crackled. We're hitting some light turbulence. Please fasten your seatbelts. Service will pause for about 15 minutes. The shaking worsened the plane, dipping like a boat on rough seas. Zion gripped the armrest, his stomach lurching. For the first time, he felt the fragility of being suspended in a metal tube thousands of feet up. It's normal, a gentle voice said. An older black woman, Alma Thompson, had taken the seat beside him unnoticed. I've been flying since the 70s, when they still served steak on China. A little chop won't hurt. Zion nodded, embarrassed. His nerves were so obvious. I'm Alma, she said, offering a peppermint. Helps with ear pressure and settles the stomach. Thanks, Zion said. I'm Zion Carter. First flight. Alma smiled. You picked a fine day. Above the clouds, it's a sight. They chatted, easing Zion's mind from the photo in turbulence. Alma was heading to New York to visit her son, a fashion designer. You business or pleasure family business, I guess, Zion said vaguely. A commotion from first class broke their talk, raised voices, hurried footsteps. Alma flagged an attendant. What's going on up there? A passenger's unwell, the young man said, his calm tone not matching his tight expression. Zion's gut twisted. He knew somehow it was Raymond. As attendants rushed forward with a medical kit, Zion stood. I gotta see if I can help, he said. Zion, stay put, Alma called, but he was already moving. At the curtain, he saw Raymond slumped in his seat, face gray, breathing ragged. David, the man Raymond had argued with, supported him, while an attendant held an oxygen mask. Possible heart attack, someone said. Alma, revealing she was a retired nurse, pushed through. Let me in, she said with authority. Zion stood frozen, the photo burning in his pocket. Raymond's eyes fluttered open, locking on Zion with desperate intensity. He pulled the mask aside. The photo, he gasped. Please. Before Zion could react, the plane lurched violently, knocking everyone off balance. The captain's voice boomed. All passengers and crew, return to your seats immediately. In the chaos, Raymond grabbed Zion's wrist with surprising strength. Marcus and Amara, he whispered the names, sending a chill through Zion. You're their son. I need. But before he could finish, the plane dropped, screams filled the cabin, and Zion braced himself, the secret hanging in the air like the storm outside. The plane shook like it was being torn apart by the sky. Zion Carter clung to the nearest seat, his heart hammering, as Raymond Caldwell's words echoed in his mind, Marcus and Amara. You're their son. The names of his parents, spoken by a dying white millionaire, sent his thoughts spiraling. He couldn't make sense of it, but there was no time to think. Raymond was fading fast, his life in Zion's hands. "Keep going, son," Alma Thompson, the retired nurse, shouted beside him. She knelt by Raymond, checking his pulse, her eyes sharp despite the chaos. 30 compressions, steady and hard. Zion nodded, sweat dripping, as he pressed rhythmically on Raymond's chest. 1, 2, 3. He counted silently, blocking out the passengers' cries and the plane's creaking metal. Raymond coughed weakly, his eyes cracking open, dazed but urgent as they found Zion. He yanked the oxygen mask off, his voice a rasp. "You have to know the truth." An attendant quickly replaced the mask, but Raymond's gaze stayed fixed, as if pouring his last strength into reaching Zion. The photo in Zion's pocket felt like it was on fire. Why did this man know his parents? Why call him their son? "Mr. Caldwell, stay still." Alma ordered, her voice firm but calm. She glanced at Zion. "You're doing great. Keep the rhythm." But before Zion could respond, the plane plummeted, the floor vanishing beneath them. Passengers screamed, loose items flew, and Zion gripped the seat to stay upright. When the plane leveled out, the engine's roar mixed with his pounding pulse. Raymond was still, eyes closed, his breathing faint under the mask. Alma's face tightened. "We need a hospital now," she told the attendant. "This is a heart attack and time's running out." The captain's voice crackled over the intercom, tense. "Now, ladies and gentlemen, we're diverting to Cleveland Hopkins International Airport due to severe weather and a medical emergency. Remain seated and follow crew instructions. Estimated landing in 30 minutes. Cleveland." They weren't halfway to New York, but Raymond's condition and the storm forced the detour. Zion sank to the floor beside Raymond's seat, hands trembling, the photo heavy in his pocket. He stared at the manned tubes and monitors surrounding him and wondered, "Who are you to me?" Raymond's words, "You're their son," were a puzzle with missing pieces. Marcus Carter, the father Zion adored, died in a car crash when he was 4. Amara, his mother, vanished when he was 7, leaving him with Nana Rose. Where did Raymond Caldwell, a rich white man, fit in? Alma touched his shoulder, pulling him from his thoughts. "You did well, Zion," she said, her voice steady. "You gave him a fighting chance. Let the medics take it from here." Zion nodded, but another storm raged inside him. He wanted to demand answers, but Raymond was a fragile shell, dependent on machines and others' care. As the plane descended, the turbulence eased, but the cabin remained tense. Passengers whispered, eyes darting to first class. Attendants moved with grim efficiency, fetching more medical supplies. Zion stared out the window at gray clouds hiding the world below, feeling like he was falling not from the plane, but into a truth he wasn't ready for. "You know him?" Alma asked, her gaze piercing. Zion shook his head. "No, but he knows my parents somehow." Alma raised an eyebrow but didn't press. "Families are complicated, son," she said. "Sometimes the truth's buried deeper than we think." The landing in Cleveland was rough, the plane bouncing before its wheels gripped the runway. Rain lashed the windows, emergency vehicles' lights flashing through the haze. "We've landed in Cleveland," the captain announced, relief in his voice. "Medical personnel are boarding to assist our passenger. Please stay seated until further notice." The cabin door opened, cold air rushing in. Paramedics in reflective vests boarded, guided to Raymond by the crew. Zion strained to see, but the curtain blocked his view. "They're taking him off," a nearby passenger reported. "Doesn't look good." Panic surged in Zion. If Raymond left now, if he didn't survive the truth about the photo, his parents himself might be lost forever. Without thinking, Zion unbuckled and stood. "Zion, don't," Alma called, but he pushed through the aisle, ignoring the order to stay seated. An attendant blocked him. "Sir, return to your seat. I need to talk to Mr. Caldwell." Zion pleaded, his voice cracking. "Just 1 minute. It's about my parents." The attendant hesitated, her expression softening, but she held firm. "I understand, but Mr. Caldwell needs a hospital." A commotion from first class cut her off. Raymond's voice, weak but insistent, rose above the noise. "The kid. I need to speak to the kid." The attendant turned, startled. A paramedic appeared at the curtain. "Is there a Zion Carter here? Mr. Caldwell's asking for you." Zion stepped forward, heart pounding. "That's me." Raymond lay on a stretcher, an oxygen mask covering half his face, an IV in his arm. His skin was ghostly, but his eyes were alert, tracking Zion. "Sir, we need to move," a paramedic said. Raymond pulled the mask aside, gasping. "1 minute. Private." The medics exchanged glances, then stepped back, giving Zion and Raymond a small pocket of space amid the chaos. Zion leaned closer, the photo tight in his hand. "I found this," he said quietly, voice shaking. "Why do you have a picture of my parents?" Raymond's breaths were labored, each word a struggle. "No, time," he said. "Listen," he gestured for Zion to come nearer. Zion bent close, Raymond's whisper, hitting like a shock wave. "I'm your father, Zion. Marcus raised you, but you're my son." Zion jerked back, eyes wide. "That's impossible," he said, voice trembling. "You're lying." Raymond shook his head faintly. "Ask your grandmother. July 15th, 1995. She knows." His hand fumbled at his pocket, pressing something into Zion's palm, a small key on a plain metal ring. Everything's explained. In New York. Lawyers will help." Before Zion could ask more, Raymond's eyes rolled back, alarms blaring from the monitors. "He's crashing," a paramedic yelled, shoving Zion aside. They lifted the stretcher and rushed Raymond off the plane. Zion stood, frozen key in one hand, photo in the other, tears streaming unnoticed. Raymond's whisper, "I'm your father," had shattered his world. If it was true, nothing would ever be the same. Alma appeared beside him, her hand gentle on his shoulder. "What did he say, Zion?" she asked softly. Zion looked at her, then at the key, then at the open door where Raymond had been taken. He swallowed hard, barely able to speak. He said, "He's my real father." Zion Carter sat alone in Cleveland's airport terminal, the key Raymond Caldwell had given him gripped tightly as if letting go would unravel everything. The photo of his parents, Marcus and Amara Carter, rested safely in his backpack, but their faces her dimple. His bright smile haunted him. Raymond's whisper on the plane. "I'm your father, Zion," cut through every belief he held about his family. A 20-year-old black college student from Detroit, the son of a white millionaire. It sounded insane, but the key and photo were proof something deeper awaited in New York. After an hour of chaos, the airline announced a new flight to New York. Alma Thompson, who'd helped save Raymond, sat beside Zion, handing him a hot coffee. "You holding up?" she asked, her eyes kind. Zion shook his head, not hiding his turmoil. "I don't know," he said quietly. "Feels like a dream." Alma nodded, not pushing. "Truth can hit like a storm," she said. "But you're strong, Zion. You'll find your way." As the plane left Cleveland, Zion stared out at the city lights fading into the night. He thought of Nana Rose, who raised him after his mother left, and his father died. Did she know about Raymond? And if she did, why keep it secret? He pulled out his phone to call her, then stopped. This needed to be face-to-face, not over a crackling airport line. The flight to New York was smooth, but Zion's mind churned. At JFK, well past midnight, Alma gave him her number before they parted at immigration. "If you need to talk, call me," she said, hugging him briefly. "You're not alone, Zion." Her words from a near stranger warmed him amid the emotional tempest. In the arrivals hall, Zion spotted a driver holding a sign, Zion Carter, Whitaker and Associates. Raj, a friendly man with a neat mustache, led him to a sleek black car. Driving into Manhattan, the city's lights dazzled Zion Brooklyn Bridge. The faint statue of Liberty Wall Street's glow, a world apart from Detroit's boarded-up blocks. The Waldorf Astoria, where Raj stopped, was beyond anything Zion imagined. Its grand lobby with chandeliers and red carpets made him feel out of place in his hoodie and worn jeans. "Must be a mistake," he told Raj. "I don't belong here," Raj smiled. "No mistake, Mr. Carter." Mr. Whitaker arranged everything. At the front desk, a clerk handed Zion an envelope with a room key. Inside was a note from Charles Whitaker, Raymond's lawyer. "Welcome to New York, Mr. Carter. Miss Sarah Nguyen will meet you in the lobby at 9:30 tomorrow. All hotel amenities are at your disposal." Zion's suite was massive, with velvet sofas, a 4-poster bed, and windows overlooking Park Avenue's lights. Exhausted from the dramatic flight, he sank onto the sofa. His stomach growled, reminding him he hadn't eaten since the plane snack. Though uneasy with the luxury, he ordered the simplest room service soup and a sandwich, then showered the hot water, washing away physical grime, but not his mental chaos. After eating, Zion called Nana Rose. "Zion, son, you okay?" Her voice weakened by chemo, but strong with worry came through. The airline said your flight got diverted for weather in a medical emergency. I'm fine, Nana Zion assured her. I'm at the hotel real fancy. But I gotta ask something. He took a breath. Do you know a man named Raymond Caldwell's silence stretched so long Zion thought the call dropped? Then softly, where'd you hear that name? Not denial, but confirmation, making his pulse race. He was on my flight, Zion said, voice low. He had a heart attack. And he said he's my real father. A sharp gasp, then a faint, oh, Jesus. Is it true? Nana Zion's voice rose, anger flaring. Is Raymond Caldwell my father? Was everything you and Mom told me about Dad a lie? It wasn't a lie, Nana Rose said firmly. Marcus Carter was your father in every way that counts. He loved you from the moment you existed. But blood, she sighed. Blood ain't everything, Zion. Family's love choice. Marcus chose you. Zion swallowed his rage. Why didn't you tell me I had a right to know, son? We thought it was best, she said, voice heavy. Your mom and I wanted to shield you from judgment, from pain. Grown folks make choices they think are right, but they ain't always right for you. Her quiet apology eased some of Zion's hurt, though not all of it. After hanging up, Zion lay on the vast bed, the key under his pillow, staring at the ornate ceiling. Sleep eluded him, questions swirling. The next morning he dressed in his only button-up shirt, trying to look presentable. At 9:30 sharp, a young woman in a gray suit approached in the lobby. Mr. Carter, I'm Sarah Nguyen from Whitaker and Associates, she said, shaking his hand with a professional smile. Our office is a few blocks away. Care to walk on the way? Sarah tactfully mentioned the flight. I heard there was some excitement on your plane, she said. Mr. Caldwell called from Cleveland's hospital to let us know. You know him? Zion asked cautiously. She nodded. He's a longtime client. We handle his personal and business affairs. Including me, Zion blurted. Sarah's smile softened with empathy. This is an unusual case, Mr. Carter. My job today is to get you to Mr. Whitaker, who'll explain everything. Whitaker and Associates' office in a granite building on Wall Street exuded power and discretion. Charles Whitaker, a tall man in his 60s with silver hair and quiet authority, greeted Zion in a small conference room, sunlight glinting off a polished oak table. Mr. Carter, thank you for coming under such circumstances, he said, shaking Zion's hand. Sarah sat nearby, opening her tablet. Whitaker cut to the chase. I understand Mr. Caldwell shared information on the plane that should have been revealed more carefully. You want to know if he's your father? Zion nodded, throat tight. Whitaker pulled a document from his briefcase. This is a DNA test conducted with your mother Amara's consent after your birth. It confirms with 97% certainty that Raymond Caldwell is your biological father. Zion stared at the paper, its scientific jargon foreign, but the conclusion clear. My mom knew, he said, voice faltering. Why'd she let me think Marcus was my dad? Whitaker nodded, expression grave. That was her choice with Marcus's agreement. Raymond initially objected but accepted it was best for you then. Best, Zion echoed bitter. Hiding the truth for 20 years was best. Whitaker sighed. Circumstances have changed. Your grandmother's health, your mother's absence, and Raymond's own thinking led him to decide you deserve the truth now. He produced another document. Raymond set up a trust for you covering college housing, health care, and a substantial sum at age 25. It's yours regardless of any relationship with him. Zion glanced at the paper, the figures staggering. Why now? Why not years ago or later? Whitaker replied, your grandmother's cancer, though not critical, yet raised concerns about guardianship if she can't care for you. With your mother gone, Raymond didn't want you in foster care. The words chilled Zion. Foster care, a fate he'd seen claim kids in his neighborhood, shuffled between strangers. I want my mom's letter, he said abruptly, remembering the key. Raymond said there's one in a safe deposit box. Whitaker exchanged a glance with Sarah, then nodded. Your mother's letter isn't in Raymond's box. It's here left with us before she departed. Sarah left and returned with a thick envelope, Zion's name in Amara's familiar handwriting. Amara left this in 2003 before leaving Detroit. Whitaker said, it's been sealed, waiting for this moment. Zion's hands shook as he took it. I need to read it alone, he said. Whitaker stood. We'll wait outside. Take your time. Alone, Zion opened the envelope pages filled with his mother's handwriting, sometimes neat, sometimes rushed as if emotions spilled too fast to capture. He began to read, My dearest Zion, if you're reading this, you know the truth about your father, about Raymond Caldwell and Marcus Carter, and the choice I made before you were born. The letter told of Amara and Marcus's friendship at the University of Michigan, both first-generation students dreaming big. They worked at a tech firm where Amara met Raymond, a wealthy CEO, 20 years her senior, married with grown children. Their relationship started professionally, then turned romantic, lasting 6 months in secret. When Amara got pregnant with Zion, Raymond hesitated, fearing scandal would ruin his career and marriage. On July 15, 1995, he ended it, offering money but not himself. Alone and heartbroken, Amara was saved by Marcus. He offered to marry her, give Zion his name, and raise him as his own. They lived as a family for 4 years, not in romantic love, but in deep friendship and shared responsibility. When Marcus died in a car crash, Amara's grief spiraled into mental illness, depression, then paranoia, believing she and Zion were watched. By the time Zion was 7, she left for an Arizona treatment facility to protect him from her instability. Zion stopped tears falling. The letter wasn't just about his parents, but explained his mother's absence, not abandonment, but sacrifice. She loved him too much to stay, fearing her illness would harm him. And Raymond, despite leaving Amara, had watched Zion from afar, funding his school and community center. Zion folded the letter, his heart heavy. He was angry at Raymond for choosing career over family, at Amara for hiding the truth, at Nana Rose for keeping silent. But he also felt a spark of understanding, a painful recognition that they'd all tried to do right, however flawed. When Whitaker knocked and re-entered, Zion wiped his eyes. My mom's in Arizona, he said, voice steadier than he felt. She's got mental illness. Did Caldwell know? Whitaker nodded. Raymond ensures she gets the best care. He visits when her condition allows. The revelation stunned Zion. Raymond hadn't just tracked him, but stayed connected to Amara, however distantly. I want to see her, Zion said firmly. And I need to talk to Nana again now that I've read this. Both can be arranged, Whitaker said. Raymond spoke to your grandmother this morning from the hospital. She's agreed to you visiting your mother with proper preparation. Zion nodded, but another question lingered. What about Caldwell? What does he want from me now? Whitaker smiled faintly. He wants a chance to know you on your terms. No pressure, no expectations. Zion sat quietly, picturing a meeting with Raymond the cold man from the plane, now his father. I want to see the safe deposit box first, he said. What this key opens? Whitaker nodded. It unlocks Raymond's box at J.P. Morgan Chase with mementos he kept for you, photos, journal records. We can go this afternoon if you're ready. Zion agreed, feeling like he was stepping into a labyrinth. Amara's letter had given him a crucial piece of his story, but more awaited from Raymond, from the box, from himself, to understand who he truly was. Afternoon sunlight streamed through J.P. Morgan Chase's windows in Manhattan, casting long shadows on the marble floor. Zion Carter followed Charles Whitaker through the bank's grand lobby, his heart racing as he thought of the safe deposit box Raymond Caldwell's key would unlock. Amara's letter still echoed, explaining why she hid Raymond as his father, why Marcus Carter became the dad he loved, and why she left for Arizona's treatment facility. But the letter was only part of the puzzle. This box, Whitaker said, held other pieces, what Raymond had kept about Zion for 20 years. Whitaker led Zion through a security checkpoint where he showed ID. They descended to the vault level in a private elevator, the air cool and silent, a stark contrast to New York's bustle above. Martin, a bank employee, escorted them to a room lined with metal boxes. Box 8.42, Whitaker said. Martin nodded, taking the bank's key and asking for Zion's. Zion handed over the small key Raymond had given him on the plane, feeling its weight like a stone. Martin opened the box, placing it on a table in a small side room, then left, giving them privacy. Want to look alone? Whitaker asked gently. Zion hesitated. Part of him craved solitude for this moment, but another part needed Whitaker's steady presence in case the contents overwhelmed him. Stay, please, Zion said. But sit over there. Let me look first. Whitaker nodded, settling in the corner. Zion took a deep breath and lifted the lid. Inside, neatly arranged, were a leather journal, a small velvet box, a USB drive, and a stack of photos tied with red silk. He started with the photos untying the ribbon. The first showed a newborn him surely in a hospital bassinet. The next was him in Amara's arms, her face tired but radiant. Later photos captured his growth, first steps, birthday candles, a tricycle standing proud before elementary school with an oversized backpack. He kept pictures of me, Zion whispered half to himself. All these years. Whitaker spoke softly from the corner. Marcus sent them at first, despite the situation. After he passed, your grandmother, Nana Rose, continued less often and reluctantly. Zion flipped through, noting a shift after age 4 when Marcus died. The photos grew distant, school portraits, a dance recital from the back row, a spelling bee trophy shot from afar. Proof of Raymond's transition from welcomed observer to hidden watcher. Setting the photos aside, Zion opened the velvet box. Inside was a gold necklace with a heart-shaped locket. He unclasped it, finding 2 tiny photos, Amara young and vibrant, and Raymond far younger than the man on the plane. It was his grandmother's, Whitaker said. He meant to give it to your mother, then kept it, swapping the photos for you. Zion closed the locket, feeling both touched and uneasy, a gift for a bond that never existed. He set it back and picked up the USB drive. School and medical records, mostly, Whitaker explained. Raymond tracked your progress through your grandmother and other means. Zion frowned, uncomfortable with the idea of being monitored. He put the drive down and opened the leather journal. Its pages were filled with Raymond's handwriting entries, dated and addressed to my son. Zion flipped to one from when he was 6, October 15, 2001. My son, today I watched from my car as you played at your school's fall festival. You wore a blue shirt, your hair in neat cornrows. When your class sang, you belted it out with confidence. The pride I felt was overwhelming, followed by the ache of knowing I can't approach you, can't tell you who I am. Another from age 10, March 15, 2005. My son, you're 10 today. Reports say you're excelling despite challenges at home. Nana Rose does her best, but her health falters and Amara's absence leaves a void. I wonder what father I'd have been. Patient with math homework, able to soothe nightmares. These questions haunt me. The latest 2 weeks ago, chilled, Zion, May 20th, 2025. My son, it's set. The letter's sent. Soon you'll board a plane to New York and our paths will cross after 20 years apart. Nana Rose's cancer forced this sooner than planned. I'm terrified, Zion. Terrified you'll hate me for my cowardice, reject me, or that my presence will hurt you. Zion closed the journal, eyes wet. The entries revealed a man wrestling with regret, loving Zion from afar, too afraid to cross the boundaries set at his birth. He wasn't supposed to be on my flight, was he? Zion asked, voice thick. Whitaker shook his head. No pure chance. He was returning from a meeting in Chicago. Seeing you board threw him into a panic. And the photo, the one that fell, he always carries it, Whitaker said, a reminder of what his choices cost him. Zion returned everything to the box except the locket, slipping it into his pocket, not to wear, but to keep. I want to go back to the hotel, he said. I need to call Nana. At the Waldorf Astoria, Whitaker left him with plans to meet the next morning. Zion kicked off his shoes, sat on the sofa, and called Nana Rose. Zion's son, her voice answered, tired but warm. You okay? I know everything now, he said, tears falling. About Mom, Marcus Caldwell. She sighed. Figured as much. That man called me from his hospital bed, told me what happened on the plane, asked to show you your mom's letter. Why didn't you tell me? Zion asked, more sad than angry. About Caldwell, about Mom. I wanted you to have a father who loved you, she said. Marcus was that father. Caldwell's just biology, not family. Zion nodded, though she couldn't see. Mom's in Arizona, you knew. You knew she's sick. Yes, she admitted. I get updates from her doctors monthly. When she's clear, we talk. I want to see her, Zion said. Caldwell's arranging it. You okay with that? If it's what you want, I won't stop you, she said. But your mom ain't always present. The doctors will check if it's safe. They talked more her health neighbors in Detroit, but Zion's mind settled on a decision. He'd meet Raymond Caldwell not to forgive, but to understand who he was and what he could be in Zion's life. The next morning, Whitaker met Zion at the hotel, saying Raymond had returned to New York last night and wanted to meet. You up for it? He asked. Zion nodded, heart racing. 10 o'clock at the office. On the way, Whitaker warned Raymond's still recovering from his heart attack. He's stable, but doctors advise avoiding stress. Just so you're prepared, he'll look frailer than on the plane. At the office, Sarah Nguyen led Zion to a cozy conference room, different from the formal one before. When she opened the door, Raymond stood slowly, looking diminished. His suit hung loose, his face pale, but his blue eyes were the same intense gaze from the plane. "Zion," he said, voice stronger than his frame. "Thank you for coming." Zion stepped in, staying near the door, keeping distance. "Mr. Caldwell," he said stiffly. Raymond gestured to a chair opposite. "Sit if you want, or stand, whatever feels right. This is your meeting." The humility, so unlike the arrogance on the plane, caught Zion off guard. After a moment, he sat on the chair's edge, hands clasped. They studied each other in silence, father and son strangers despite shared blood. "You look like your mother," Raymond said, voice soft with awe. "But there's some of me maybe around the eyes. Your hands." Zion glanced at his hands, never considering they might carry Raymond's traits. "I read Mom's letter," he said, steering the talk. "And your journal from the box." Raymond nodded, vulnerability flashing. "Then you know more about me than most." "Why?" Zion asked, voice sharper than intended, encompassing every question. "Why abandon Amara? Why stay away? Why watch from afar?" Raymond sighed, hands on his knees. "The simple answer, which is true but not enough, is fear," he said. "Fear of scandal, of losing my career, my marriage. Later, fear of disrupting your life, the family Marcus and Amara built." He paused, searching for words. "The deeper truth is, I was a coward. I took the easy path, money, which I had plenty of, instead of the hard, messy work of being your father." The blunt honesty surprised Zion. He'd expected excuses, but Raymond owned his failures. "Your journal said you watched me," Zion said, voice tight. "School events, driving by our house. That's creepy." Raymond winced but didn't argue. "I see how it looks to you. I thought I was keeping a connection, however thin. Looking back, it was selfish, meeting my need without taking on the responsibility." "Did Mom know you were watching?" Zion asked. Raymond shook his head. "Not at first. When her illness worsened, she thought she was being followed. Doctors called it paranoia, but she wasn't entirely wrong." Zion's blood ran cold. "Did you make her worse? Your spying, did it push her over the edge?" Pain crossed Raymond's face, raw and unguarded. "I've asked myself that 1,000 times," he said quietly. "Her doctors say her condition would have developed regardless, but I can't be sure my presence, if she sensed it, didn't add to her distress. It's one of my deepest regrets." Zion sat still, grappling with his anger and Raymond's evident remorse. "After Mom went to Arizona," Raymond continued, "I started visiting her with her doctor's permission, only when she was stable. She refused me at first. Over time, we found a truce, not friendship, but a shared care for you." "You visit my mom," Zion said, stunned. "Regularly, 4 times a year," Raymond confirmed. "I fund the facility to ensure she gets top care. It's not atonement, nothing could be, but it's what I can do." The revelation through Zion. Raymond hadn't just watched him, but stayed tied to Amar at a safe distance. "Why now?" he asked, returning to the burning question. "Why bring me here? Tell me now." "Your grandmother's illness was the trigger," Raymond said. "But I've been preparing for years, setting up the trust, arranging guardianship options. I planned to wait until you were older, but Nana Rose's cancer sped things up. I couldn't let you end up in foster care." "What do you want from me?" Zion asked bluntly. Raymond chose his words carefully. "A chance to know you for you to know me. Not to replace Marcus, who'll always be your father in the truest sense, but to be someone connected to you who cares about your future." How Zion pressed, struggling to picture it. "Weekends, holidays." Raymond shook his head. "No set expectations. Just an open door, calls, emails, visits if you're comfortable. Something we build slowly at your pace." The modesty of the offer surprised Zion. He'd braced for demands, but Raymond gave options. "I'm still angry," Zion admitted. "About the years you weren't there, the secrets, how everything I knew got so complicated." "Your anger's fair," Raymond said. "I don't expect you to set it aside. It's a natural response." Whitaker knocked, bringing tea and cookies, a natural break. Zion realized they'd talked nearly 2 hours, time slipping away in the intense exchange. T. Whitaker asked. Or more time alone, T's good Zion said. But we need to keep talking. Whitaker left, closing the door softly. I want to know who you are, Zion said, surprising himself. Not about Mom or your feelings for me. Who's Raymond Caldwell? Raymond smiled faintly, the first Zion had seen. Fair question, he said. He shared his life, raised in Connecticut, Harvard educated, married young to Elizabeth with 2 grown children, Michael and Sarah now with their own families. He built a tech empire, amassing wealth but drifting from his wife, though keeping up appearances. His sister Eleanor, a Georgetown professor, was the only family member who knew about Zion, always pushing him to claim his son. Are you happy? Zion asked, suddenly cutting off a tech anecdote. Raymond set down his teacup, caught off guard. No, he said after a pause, the word heavy. I'm respected, successful, comfortable, but happy. No, not for a long time. The honesty stirred something in Zion. Not forgiveness, but empathy for a man with everything and nothing. What about you? Raymond asked. Are you happy? Zion thought of Detroit, his scholarship coaching, kids' nights with Nana Rose, watching old movies. Sometimes, he said, when I crack a tough math problem, or Nana's feeling good and we talk late. But sometimes I'm lonely. I wish things were different. Raymond nodded, offering no fixes, just listening. What's next? Zion asked, returning to practicalities. I go back to Detroit tomorrow. That's the plan, Raymond said. Then it's up to you. We could talk by phone, email. I'm in Detroit sometimes for business, maybe lunch or a game, whatever you like. Zion considered it. And if Nana gets sicker, do I live with you? Raymond shook his head. There are options, my sister Eleanor in D.C. or Ms. Freeman, your old teacher your mom trusted. My home's open, but I know that's a big shift. Whatever happens, you won't be alone. The reassurance eased Zion's fears. He wasn't being forced into a stranger's life. I think I'll try the call, Zion said slowly. Emails too, see if there's anything worth building. Relief and hope flashed across Raymond's face, quickly tempered. I'd like that, he said. But I need you to know, Zion added, voice firm, Marcus Carter's my dad. Nothing changes that. He chose me, love me, was there. That's bigger than blood. I agree, Raymond said instantly. Marcus was a better man than me in every way that counts. I'd never try to take his place. The acknowledgement loosened a knot in Zion's chest. What do I call you? He asked. Not Dad. I'm not ready. Raymond's fine, he said. Or Mr. Caldwell, if that's easier. We'll figure it out. Zion nodded a quiet agreement to this fragile start. I want to see my mom, he said, shifting topics. After I'm home. I'll arrange it, Raymond promised. The facility needs notice, and her doctors will check if she's stable. Whitaker returned, noting Raymond needed rest per doctor's orders. Zion stood, realizing the meeting's weight. Thanks, Raymond said softly as Zion reached the door. For listening, for being honest, for giving this a chance. Zion nodded, unsure how to close. I'll call you, he said, the simple phrase carrying immense weight. As Whitaker let him out, Zion glanced back, seeing Raymond ease into his chair. Exhaustion mixed with a hint of peace. The secret was out, and though the future was unclear, Zion was on a new path, not forgiveness, but discovery. The flight from New York to Detroit was calm, a stark contrast to the turbulent journey that had upended Zion Carter's life. No medical crises, no storms, no mid-air revelations. Just the steady hum of engines, the captain's routine updates, and meal trays passed by attendants. Zion spent the flight reading The Great Gatsby, his father Marcus Carter's copy, finding comfort in its familiar pages. As he processed the past week, the mysterious photo, Raymond Caldwell's heart attack, the whisper that he was Zion's father, Amara's letter, and the New York meeting where Zion cracked open a door to a new uncertain bond. Before leaving Charles, Whitaker gave Zion an envelope with trust fund details, contact info for him and Raymond, and Amara's original letter, which Zion asked to keep. Your grandmother will meet you at baggage claim, Whitaker said. Raymond wanted to see you off, but thought his presence might complicate things. He sends his regards and says everything will move at your pace. The consideration was a relief, though Zion felt a faint pang. He wanted one last glimpse of Raymond to confirm their talk was real. but this clean break between New York's revelations and Detroit's normalcy was likely better. Landing at Detroit Metro, Zion felt a mix of emotions, excitement to see Nana Rose's anxiety about how their bond might shift, post-Secret's uncertainty about weaving his new parentage into his life. At baggage claim, Nana Rose thinner than when he left, wearing her Sunday church hat on a Wednesday. Clutching her purse brought tears to his eyes. Whatever New York had changed, she was his anchor, his true north. Zion, she called, arms wide as he cleared security. Nana, he ran to her, hugging her tight, breathing in her familiar perfume and the scent of home. Missed you so much, he mumbled into her shoulder. Missed you too, Lord Almighty, she said, holding him longer, as if afraid he'd vanish. They grabbed his suitcase and headed to the parking lot where Mr. Jackson, a church deacon, waited to drive them home. Detroit streets, abandoned buildings beside vibrant homes, kids splashing in fire hydrants, old men playing chess on stoops felt grounding after New York's Polish. At their street, Zion was surprised by a small welcome party on their steps. Ms. Freeman, his old teacher, Mr. Jenkins from the corner store, his best friend Maya and her mom, Pastor Brown. A hand-painted banner read, "Welcome home, Zion." "What's this?" Zion asked, throat tight at the unexpected care. "Just folks who missed you," Nana Rose said. Word got out you were back. The gathering neighbors sharing food, Maya grilling him about New York, Pastor Brown, praying thanks for safe travels, was a balm after the intensity of his trip. Here among people who'd known him since childhood, Zion felt truly himself. That night, with the house quiet, save for Nana Rose washing dishes, Zion sat on the porch swing watching fireflies flicker in the dusk. The weight of New York's secrets? Raymond, Amara, Marcus loomed, but in this familiar space they seemed manageable. Nana Rose joined him, the swing creaking under them. They rocked silently, the rhythm soothing. "Want to talk about it?" she asked. "Him what comes next?" Zion sorted his tangled feelings. "I told him I'd try calls," he said. "Emails too, see if there's anything to build on." Nana Rose nodded neutral. "How's that feel, messy?" he admitted. "I'm still mad at him for not being there at Mom, for hiding it sometimes at you." He glanced at her, worried he'd hurt her, but she nodded. "That's fair," she said. "Anger's natural when you've been kept in the dark, even if it came from love. But I'm curious too," Zion went on, relieved by her acceptance. "About him, his family, what it'd be like to have more people in my corner." "That's natural," she said. "Family's complicated, Zion. It's not just blood, it's choice, commitment showing up." Marcus showed up. "I've tried to. Caldwell's just starting, and whether that goes anywhere, time will tell." Her simple wisdom clarified Zion's thoughts. "I don't have to decide everything now, do I?" he asked. "Lord, no," she chuckled. "You're 20, son. You've got years to figure out what Raymond Caldwell means to you." They swung a while longer, crickets and distant sirens, blending into the night. "We're still seeing Mom, right?" Zion asked. "In Arizona." "You bet," she confirmed. "Caldwell called while you were flying. It's set for next month if the doctors approve." The thought of seeing Amara after 13 years armed with the truth about her illness and his father was thrilling and terrifying. Would she know him? Could they connect? "What's she like now?" he asked softly. "When you talk?" Nana Rose paused. "She has good days and rough ones. On good days, she's her old self, curious, asking about you. On rough ones, she's confused sometimes, paranoid, sometimes gone from reality. Does she know I met Caldwell? That I know the truth?" "Yes," Nana Rose said. "I told her after your first call from New York. She was worried how you'd take it, but relieved. Secrets weigh heavy, especially on a fragile mind. Knowing Amara was aware deepened Zion's sense of her as part of this story, however distant. That night in his room with faded wallpaper and overflowing bookshelves, Zion found the locket from Raymond's safe deposit box. He opened it, studying the young faces, Amara's dimpled smile, Raymond's confident gaze, the two who made him, their paths diverging in pain. He placed it in his keepsake box with a photo of him and Marcus at his 4th birthday, a pressed flower from Amara's garden, a ribbon from his first basketball trophy, not displayed, not discarded, but part of his story. As he drifted to sleep, Zion felt an expansion, not confusion. The truth, painful as it was, had cleared space for new possibilities, new connections, a fuller self. 4 weeks later, in July's stifling Detroit heat, the Arizona trip happened. Raymond, as promised, arranged everything first-class tickets for Zion and Nana Rose, a hotel near the treatment facility a driver. Over those weeks, Zion got 2 emails from Raymond asking about school, sharing bits of his life, always respectful. Zion replied brief but honest, mentioning classes and basketball, keeping deeper thoughts private. The Sedona facility wasn't the grim asylum Zion pictured from movies. It looked like a resort, adobe buildings, blending into red rock desert blooms lining paths. "Your mother's having a good day," Dr. Littlefeather, Amara's doctor for 5 years, said after orientation. "She's been preparing for weeks, practicing techniques to stay present. Will she know me?" Zion asked, voice shaky. The doctor smiled. "Yes, Zion. She remembers you, clearly talks about you often. The challenge is keeping her grounded when emotions run high." Led through a sunlit atrium of greenery, Zion saw Amara in a small garden courtyard, back to them sketching on a pad. She was thinner, her short hair now silver curls glinting in the sun. When she turned her dimple, the one Zion saw in his mirror flashed. "Zion," she breathed, the pad slipping as she stood. "God, look at you." The 13 years, the secrets about Raymond, her painful story melted into this moment of presence. His mother was here, real, gazing at him with unmistakable love. "Mom," Zion managed, voice choked. They moved toward each other, slowly savoring the reunion. Their embrace let Zion catalog details: her lavender shampoo, different from childhood's coconut, her bony shoulders under a cotton dress, the faint tremble in her hands on his back. "You're so grown," Amara said, pulling back to study him, eyes shining. "Not my little boy anymore." "I'm still me," Zion said, needing her to know their bond endured. Nana Rose stood aside, giving them space. "Amara," she said, stepping forward, voice thick. "You look well," Mama Amara replied, taking her hand, keeping the other on Zion's shoulder as if he might vanish. 3 generations, Nana Rose, Amara, Zion, stood linked, each marked by the complex path to this sun-drenched garden. They sat under a vine-draped pergola, talking about school, the neighborhood, Amara's life at the facility. Beneath the ordinary chat ran deeper currents, acknowledgement of lost years, new truths. "You know about Raymond," Amara said, addressing the elephant in the room. "You've met him." Zion nodded. "On the plane then, in New York. We've emailed a bit." "Are you mad at me?" she asked, eyes vulnerable. "For not telling you from the start." Zion had rehearsed answers, but face to face he chose truth. "I was," he said. "When I found out, I was mad at you, Nana Caldwell, everyone. But now, I get it better. Not just about him, but why you left your illness." Amara nodded, tears brimming. "I never wanted to leave you. It was the hardest choice I ever made. I was becoming dangerous, not physically, but emotionally. I was scared of hurting you." Nana Rose took Zion's hand. "We thought we were protecting you," she said. "Maybe we could have found better ways to help you understand." The admission eased a lingering tightness in Zion's chest, though healing would take time. "Do you want Caldwell in your life?" Amara asked. "That's your call, not mine or anyone's." Zion paused. "I don't know yet," he said. "We're trying, taking it slow." "Calls, emails." Amara nodded. "That's smart. Raymond's complicated, flawed, like us all. But there's goodness in him, buried under caution and power." "He visits you," Zion said, still surprised. "Regularly, 4 times a year," she confirmed. "I wouldn't see him at first. Now we talk mostly about you, your school, your future. It's our common ground." Zion struggled to picture their talks. 2 people divided by choice and illness, united by him. The afternoon passed in simple moments, strolling the grounds, eating in the communal dining hall where residents greeted Amara, warmly flipping through her artwork. Zion noticed times when her focus drifted, her effort to return to the present visible. As Dr. Littlefeather signaled Amara's limit, Zion felt fulfilled yet hungry for more. "Can I come back?" he asked, parting in the garden. "I'd love that," Amara said, voice steady, despite tired eyes. "The doctor thinks periodic visits could work, not too frequent, with the distance and my condition, but something to build on." Their final hug was tearful but hopeful, a pause, not an end. Amara whispered, "Remember who you are, Zion. Not just my son, Marcus's son, or Raymond's. You're you, whole, worthy of love." Her words stayed with Zion as they left, returned to their hotel, and flew back to Detroit. They were a shield against the confusion that sometimes threatened when he pondered his family's tangled web. Back in Detroit, Zion's life found a new rhythm, weaving in his expanded truth. He and Raymond kept in touch, their emails and calls evolving from cautious to more open. In November, Raymond visited Detroit, taking Zion to lunch near campus. It was awkward at times, but not unpleasant. Laying groundwork for more, quarterly trips to Arizona became routine, sometimes with Nana Rose, sometimes alone, as Zion grew comfortable traveling. Visits with Amara were joyful or tough, depending on her state, but always valuable, rebuilding their bond. Nana Rose remained his rock, the one who knew and loved him unconditionally. As Zion grasped the complexity of human choices, his gratitude for her steadfastness deepened. In March, after his 21st birthday, Raymond asked if Zion wanted to meet his sister Eleanor. Their meeting at a DC art museum featuring Black artists was unexpectedly meaningful. Eleanor's directness and warm laugh clicked with Zion in ways Raymond hadn't yet. "He's trying," she said over coffee, in his stiff way. This is new for him, being open, risking rejection. She'd known about Zion from the start, always urging Raymond to claim him. Her perspective painted Raymond as a flawed man trying to grow, not a villain or hero. By the next summer, a year after the fateful flight, Zion sat on the porch swing with Nana Rose, fireflies dancing in the dusk as they had when he returned from New York. "How you doing with it all?" she asked. "Raymond, your mom, everything that's changed." Zion took stock. "I'm okay," he said. "Not perfect, not healed, but okay. Finding my way." "That's all we do," she said, proud. "Find our way with what we're given." "I've been thinking about forgiveness," Zion said after a quiet moment. "Not just for Raymond, for not being there for Mom, for leaving for you, for keeping secrets. It's not only for them, it's for me, letting go of the hurt and anger, even if they were fair." "That's wisdom, son," Nana Rose said softly, "the kind earned through hard times." As fireflies glowed, Zion reflected on the extraordinary chain of events that began a year ago when he boarded a plane as one man and stepped off as another, not changed at his core, but expanded in understanding of himself and the ties that shaped him. Marcus Carter was still his father, the man who chose, loved, and gave him a name. Amara remained a presence, distant by illness, but reconnected through visits. Raymond Caldwell became something new, not a replacement dad, but a significant figure offering unique care. Their bond was still forming, moving past initial anger to potential growth. The 20-year-old black man from Detroit and the white millionaire who'd watched from afar found, after a mid-air revelation, not a traditional father-son tie, but something authentic, a connection rooted in truth, choice, and growing respect. As night fell, Zion felt deep peace, not because all questions were answered or wounds healed, but because he'd woven his family's complexities into a fuller self. The whisper that once shook him, "I'm your father," no longer threatened his identity. It was one truth among many a thread in the tapestry of connections, choices, and circumstances that made him. Whatever lay ahead, adulthood, Nana Rose's health, Amara's illness, his evolving tie with Raymond, Zion faced it with open eyes, armed with wisdom to guide him through the chapters to come.